effectively what I've done is managed to have thistle plants and very low productive grass plants. What I've created here is a very weak grass plant and a very thriving thistle plant. And that's not the cow's fault, it's my fault for allowing them to be here for too long, or I didn't control the density of the cattle enough to create what I wanted. We're trying to create really thriving, healthy grass plants. Early in the spring, we usually will come through here and we'll take just, if the plant is this big, we'll try and get one bite off of every plant and get out and go. In times of fast growth, we move the cattle really fast because that's what encourages regrowth and root structure and microbial activity beneath the soil. But what happened was we went too slow and allowed the cattle to be here for too long, which then took the plants down too far. So we thought we were going to recover it when we came back through at the end of July, and then we could just take a little bit and allow the plants to photosynthesize. I can't do anything to change it, and I can't do anything about the past, but all I can do is learn from it and teach others about it. These plants, you want to allow them to photosynthesize. But what we did by grazing them down too far, we don't have any plant material that will allow them to photosynthesize. So there's no blades of grass there that can even capture sun because we grazed it almost down to nothing. We're not trying to achieve thistles and bare ground. We're trying to create really thriving, healthy grass plants, which in turn creates really thriving, healthy soil. So this is where we did a little bit more of I call it low density grazing. So 233 head on 10 acres for one day. And we didn't divide the paddock up at all. So then you get some higher plants that haven't really been touched and some lower graze plants that got touched a little bit too much, but better, significantly better than the overgrazing that happened on the other side. So we've made an improvement in this paddock. So right in here is probably a really good example of ideal grazing. So this paddock is 10 acres. We split it about 3/4 of the way down. Their water source is at the very far end. So we split it at about 3/4, and then we did hourly moves, splitting it with temporary fence wire so that it really encouraged them to be at the back and to graze this very high density, but for a short period of time. So we got a really nice even graze. All the plants kind of got the same amount, and you can see by what's left over, we've left enough plant material that those plants can actually capture sunlight and photosynthesize. But by leaving enough plant material on top, we also didn't damage the root system. So I'm just rolling up the reel, and this is going to allow them to go to the next little piece of this paddock. So by controlling how much land they get in a day, we can control how they graze and what they graze and what they eat or don't eat, and how much density we want to have on any given spot. I think it's just really important to remember, myself included, that overgrazing is a function of time. It's not the amount of animals. So because I overgraze that land doesn't mean that I need to go out with less animals next time. It just means that I need to control the time that they are allowed to be on that land better.